Hello, this is Sophie Lawson from sophielawson.com, and this is another little video, but this one's a bit different to normal, and it's also a bit rushed because this video is going to be talking about Affinity Photo and Adobe Photoshop, which are two apps which are pretty much identical really. The difference being one is by Adobe, the other one's by Serif. There's a new Serif in town and it's actually Affinity Photo. So I've rushed it a bit because when this video goes up on YouTube, there's only going to be 7 days left to get the app for 50% off. And for me, this app is this software is so amazing that I just wanted to get this out before the 50% goes off. But also you can download a 90-day trial as well, and that's going to go away as well. So what you've got one called Designer, which you can get for 24 quid, half price, which is basically the same as Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator. You've got Affinity Photo, which is the same as Photoshop, and you've also got this one, which is Affinity Publisher, which is the same as Adobe InDesign. So I've actually bought all of these because I loved this one so much, the photo, that I bought the other ones. So this one, the Publisher one, you can actually make like magazines and stuff. So my goal has always been to turn a little newsletter into a magazine. So I thought, well, 24 quid, you can't go wrong. If you don't get on with it, it's not really the end of the world, is it? But look, here it even says you get a money back guarantee if you're not happy. and in this one here, I'm not sure what I would use that for, but I think for like little logos and stuff. But really, it's all about Photoshop for me. So Affinity Photo is the replacement for Photoshop. What I've done is I've got loads of notes on a piece of paper, and I'm going to go through them and talk about my experience and why I feel like you'd be crazy I feel like you'd be crazy to stay with Photoshop. So the first thing this is what I'm going to do in this video. I'm going to talk about what happened and why, and I'm going to talk about my first impressions, then I'm going to go through my notes and I'll have my final thoughts. So what actually happened was, last month I moved into, here it is, look, and that's another thing, I love the logo. Look what they've done with the logos. Affinity's design has got this lovely little blue logo. The photo one's got a little pinky one, and then the publisher's got an orange. But they're all following the same sort of thing, and it just looks classy to me. I just think these little icons look way sexier than the Photoshop ones. That's what I think. But so what happened was, about a month ago, when I started moving, I thought to myself, I'm going to have to save some money here. So I actually cancelled my Photoshop, and what I was doing was I was paying £10 a month for Photoshop and Lightroom. So at the moment there is no Affinity Lightroom. I would like that actually, because I was using Lightroom on the iPad for editing my little photos. But so what happened was, I thought, well, I'm going to cancel. What I thought was, I'm going to cancel Photoshop for about 3 months. Because I'm moving, I'm not going to be using it, it's a waste of money. Now this is where it gets a bit weird. So I went onto the website, Adobe's website, to cancel Photoshop, and it ended up, I had to pay to cancel my subscription. And I thought, what? I thought I was paying monthly for it. But it turns out I was paying monthly, but I was sort of locked into a yearly contract. So I had to pay £26 or £25. It's not the end of the world, but what it's done is it left me with a really bad taste in my mouth. And I thought to myself, you know what, I don't want to be part of this. I know it sounds a bit weird, but that's what I thought. So what happened was, I went and found a replacement, and I'd had my eyes on this Affinity Photo for quite a while, a few months. But the thing was, I thought, well, I'm happy with Photoshop. And £10 a month isn't really, I feel like that's quite good value for money. However, now that I've tried this Affinity Photo, it feels like Photoshop's a bit of a rip-off. Because this Affinity Photo does everything, absolutely everything that I've ever wanted from Photoshop. so far, this video is a bit... I'm recording this video a bit sooner than I wanted to. I wanted to test it a bit more. But so far, everything that I've tried to do with this Affinity Photo is done it exactly the same as Photoshop. There is a bit of a learning curve, because it does feel a bit... Some of the way they do things is a bit different. So you feel at the moment, I still feel a little bit like I'm sort of... What would you say? It's a bit like... I almost feel like I'm working with my left hand. You know when you're trying to do a drawing with your left hand? It feels a bit weird. You can still do it, but it's a bit weird. It feels like that here. I need a little bit more time with this software to get into the workflow, I suppose. So I've got to unlearn a lot of things from Photoshop. But the first look at this, look. All the layers that I put into my Photoshop files. So this here was saved as a Photoshop, a PDF, what's it called? A Photoshop file. And, well, this is one of the things. This here, Affinity Photo, can open up absolutely any file that I throw at it. All the Photoshop files open up as it. So, and that's really cool. And the thing is, Clip Studio Paint Pro, which is one of my favourite things for drawing, you can open up Photoshop files in it. But what it does is, when you open up the files, the layers, they go weird. It keeps the layers, but for instance, this text layer here, if you open that up in Clip Studio, Clip Studio turns text layers into raster layers, so you can't actually edit the text. But look, on this one, well, I'm on the wrong layer there. If I go up here, get rid of that one, go onto this, look, doing. So if I go down into this text file, see, I can edit it, look. I can actually type whatever I want. So what it's done is, it's not only brought in all the layers, it's brought them all in exactly as they are in Photoshop, which is amazing. So all those years that I've been spending on Photoshop, creating templates and files, I haven't lost nothing. All of those files still work, which is amazing. So the other thing I wanted to say was, I've actually been using Photoshop. I was thinking about this the other day. I've been using Photoshop since 1996. So that's how long I've been with Photoshop. And I thought to myself that nothing is better than Photoshop. So because I had never tried anything else, I just thought that nothing else was as good at it as it. But now that I've tried this, I sort of think to myself, why did I stay with Photoshop for so long? It's just because that's what I got used to, I suppose. And so listen to this, yeah? When I cancelled my Photoshop subscription, I went onto my PayPal to cancel the thing. It was over 700 quid. So what I'm saying is, £700 for Photoshop, that's how much it cost me. Affinity Photo, £24, and that's it. You're never going to have to pay any more than that, unless you wanted to, unless maybe in the future they might, well, at the moment at least, £24 and that's it. It's one payment and you're sorted. So the cost of this here at the moment is the same as 2.5 months of Photoshop. So Photoshop costs about £10 a month. That's the minimum one. So you would end up, after 3 months of Photoshop, you would have spent more than it cost you for this. But if you miss out on the 50% off, it will cost you 49 quid. So that's going to be basically 5 weeks. So even then, it's still like a bargain, I think. Now, I haven't used Designer yet. I've only downloaded it. And I haven't used Publisher yet. I've also only downloaded that. But if they are as good as this one here, it's going to be amazing. And I've also heard what happens is, if you've got all 3 of them, you can actually go into this here, like Publisher. And what will happen is, you can stay inside Publisher, the software, and you'll be able to use all the functionality of this Affinity Photo. So basically, what it means is, you can have this app, you can have Publisher open, and you don't even have to bother opening up this photo one, Affinity Photo. All you've got to do really is just open that, and you can do everything in that. So it's cool. It's almost like what happens is, the 3 apps become one super app, which I think is brilliant. So that just shows you how they're all sort of interconnected. I also brought this Affinity Photo on my iPad. so I can do my little things on there. I'm not sure if Affinity has any sort of cloud system, because that was something really cool with Photoshop. You had the Photoshop Cloud, Adobe Cloud. So what you could do was, I could go on my iPad, do a little drawing. What I was doing was I was doing little sketches on my iPad. I could then save them in the cloud. I'd go into Photoshop and I could just instantly, my files would be there. I'm not sure if you can do that on this, but it's not the end of the world, because you can just use Dropbox. So you can still do it. It's just it's not going to be as sort of cool, I suppose. So what this video is not going to have much in the way of visuals, because I just want to talk really. But the main takeaway is, I think, if nothing else, download this Affinity Photo, download the trial, which is 90-day trial, and you've got 7 days from this video to do it. If you think it's really cool, you can buy it. But look, even if you buy it and you don't like it, you can still get your money back. So that's the main takeaway is I am amazed at how good this thing is. And the other thing is, I thought to myself, well, here's my notes. Let's go into my notes. So I hope you're all right with this little image on the screen. I'd get this one here. These are the future videos that are coming up on me over the next 14 weeks. These are the 2013 Imagine FX magazines. As it turns out, this one here is my favourite cover of the year, the 102 issue. I love that one. So I hope you like the little image there. So in my little notes, this is what I've done. What I did was, I put Photoshop on one side and Affinity Photo on the other, and then I've just said to myself, what is the positive and negative of both? So this is what I've said. So for Photoshop, I've put it's the industry standard, and it's cheaper up front. So it's only £10 for the first month, and then it's £10 a month. So if you've only got £10, you can get that straight away. The problem is, after, like I said, 3 months, you're paying more. So I think you'd be better to wait 3 months, save £10 a month, and then you get Affinity Photo, and then you're saving a lot more money. It's quite cool. Another negative is the £700 that I spent on it, which I think is crazy. And then another negative is you have to pay to leave, which leaves a bad taste in the mouth. And I was thinking about this as well. So one of the things people say is first impressions are like the most important thing. Well, I think actually last impressions are even more important, because there's part of me now, well, Adobe might actually change. So if they change, then you always got to forgive people. But at the moment, it's left such a bad taste in my mouth that I had to pay to leave, that I sort of think to myself, I don't want to do business with these Adobes anymore. It's quite weird. So here we go. Look, here's a positive. Oh no, this is another negative. And one of the main negatives here is all the videos on YouTube. Not all of them. I would say 80%. They're all based around Photoshop. So the tutorials, a lot of tutorials are going to be based around Photoshop. So I'm not sure, but it might be a bit harder to find out how to do things. But again, this is why I wanted to wait a bit more to see what I think about this. Another negative is Creative Cloud. I found it a real hog on my system. But the one thing I did like was a little logo. So Adobe Creative Cloud has a beautiful little logo. But the thing is, it was such a hog of the system. And I always sort of resented that having to be on my system, I did. So I was really happy that one of the best things about getting rid of Photoshop was actually getting rid of Creative Cloud. Because I was relieved about that. And another little negative is we need a Lightroom replacement. What's it have I got here? Look, this is still with Adobe Photoshop. I've just put in a circle. I've said give it a try. Give it a try. What else have we put here? Well, I said I'll give it a try unless you're money bags. That's the thing. If you're rolling in money, you might as well stay with Photoshop, I suppose. But that's it really. If you're not rolling in money, I would say give it a try. And so what have I put here? I've put here, if we all switch, Affinity Photo will become the new industry standard. How cool is that? So at the moment, Photoshop is the industry standard, what I'm saying is, if we actually speak with our wallets, and if we take the jump and go over, what will happen is Affinity Photo will become the new industry standard, and what that will do is it will actually force Adobe to adjust their subscription model and stuff. So I feel like this could be quite a positive for everyone really, moving forward. Oh, one of the negatives of that's it now for Photoshop. So I'm going to go over to Affinity Photo now. This is actually, all of this is on Windows 10 as well. And well, can you use multiple PCs? Yes, you can. I had a look at that. So I can put this on whatever. I can put this on all my computers without a problem. So that's quite cool. But I had the same thing with Photoshop. I had it on 2 computers. So it's nice that Affinity Photo isn't locked in to just one system. This is the positives for Affinity Photo. So I've put it loads quicker. So when it loads about, I would say 5 to 10 seconds quicker. That's what I've noticed. I'm going to get a little different image. That's a beautiful one as well. Issue 100. So it actually loads a bit quicker. The file sizes are smaller. This is brilliant. So look, have a look at this. Look, this one here is the size of it, 484 meg. That's one that has gone into Affinity Photo. This one here, this was the Photoshop, is 833 meg. So it's almost double the size. What that means is, when I'm working inside of here, it's actually, everything is loading, saving faster. So I'm constantly saving time with this package. That's what I've noticed. I'm not having to wait for things to load and stuff. So I don't know what they've done there. I don't know whether it's poor programming on Adobe's side or what, but I did notice that the Photoshop files, they got very big very quickly, and they started to sort of take ages to load and stuff. What else I put? Yeah, everything's just more snappy. That's what I've noticed with this Affinity Photo. Everything's just more snappy, which is nice. Especially when you're working with like loads of layers and stuff. Because this here has got loads of layers. All of these little things has got loads of layers, and then each of these folders, these are all the Imagine FX magazines. So I've got loads of stuff, and the thing is, it's kept everything. It's kept all the layers and all the folders exactly as I saved it in Photoshop, which I think's amazing. So I've put here, all layers etc. are kept intact, which isn't the case with Clip Studio Paint. So what that means is, if you have been using Photoshop for ages and you make the switch, all your stuff that you created, you can carry on. Is really, to be honest with you, if this software had the Photoshop icon in the corner, I wouldn't even notice. You know what I mean? In other words, the only thing that's different to me really is the icon. It's almost like I'm using Photoshop. It's just blown me away, that has. So I've put here, save money and time. Files load quicker, so you're saving time. And then you're saving money because there's no subscription. One of the negatives for this Affinity Photo is, if you've got a Mac and a PC, so if you've got an iMac and a PC, you actually have to buy, you have to buy it separate, which that is quite a negative really. So it's 24 quid for each one. So now would be the time to do it though, because you'd get them both for the same price as normal. So that is a bit of a negative really, because with Photoshop you could actually put it on both a Mac or a Windows, which is, but again, it's not really the end of the world because it's only going to cost you 24 or 50 quid. But it is still a negative. I hope they fix that, but I don't think they will. Apparently what they've done is they've put this software into the App Store of the Apple. So it's almost, that's because I was reading about it, that's what's happened. They wanted to be in the Apple ecosystem, but what it meant was they couldn't sort of share the files or something. It's a bit of a negative, and it is a bit because I'm sort of thinking about getting an iMac. I'm not sure. So if I do buy an iMac in the future, I would actually, let's say for instance I fall in love with this Affinity Designer and Publisher, I might end up having to buy all 3 of these again. But the thing is, because I love this so much, I wouldn't mind doing that, to be honest. A bit weird, isn't it? What I've put here, look, 90-day trial and 50% off, only 7 days left. So I just wanted to say about that. Another thing I've put here is designer, publisher and photo all together. I think it's called the Affinity Studio or something. And what's brilliant about that is, let's say for instance they do actually create a Affinity Lightroom. Let's say they do that. What I would imagine is they would actually pull that into the same thing. So what then would happen is you could be inside of, say, Affinity Photo, and you could start using the functionality of the Lightroom. So what they're going to do, what they've done here is brilliant. They've created like a little. What they've done is they created like a studio, like they've said, but they can add to it. So this could get quite interesting. I hope they are sort of doing a Lightroom one. That would be cool. I'll put it as well. I used to use this software. I used to make my website. When I first started my website in 2014, I actually used something called Web Plus. And I've just realised it's actually made by the same people, Serif. And that Web Plus was amazing. So that makes me feel a little bit more happy as well. Because I think to myself, well, I already used Web Plus for ages and I knew that they were a nice company to work with. So that sort of makes me feel a bit safe, I suppose, working with them now. I put it in my notes, I said, I wish I had done it sooner. If I had done this, I don't know when this Affinity Photo came out, but I wish I had done this years ago. I never knew. That's the thing, I never knew. I put here as well, the iPad version is £10, which I think that's a bargain. But I haven't messed about with that yet. I've loaded it up just to make sure it works and stuff. I've put here as well, I picked up designer and publisher. I've put here, what's this? Oh yeah, I've put there's a learning curve. Feel like you're working one-handed at the moment. But there's nothing I've done in Photoshop I can't do yet. So that's quite amazing. I might do another video of this in about 4 months' time or something, when I've played around with it a bit more. But at the moment, like I said, it's almost like I can't even notice I've made a jump really. I've put it as well, I love the icons. Instant preview on effects. So what they've done is, if you go over here, when you go down here, oh, this is another thing as well. All of these things here were in Photoshop. So I don't know if I've got any on this one here. I like the way as well the effects are on this sort of thing here, but I don't know if I've got any in this. Well, in one of my other files, if I close that, in one of my other files, I've actually got, like, I do use that effect of the colour overlay. So I've actually opened up one of my featured images files from my website, and I did actually use the colour overlay effect in Photoshop for this. So what I do is, this here for instance it creates a little pink bar at the bottom there, see? So in Photoshop that one wasn't done. I think the lilac one was. The ones with the effects have got it on. See that one there? Well, actually I'll go to this one. So this one here is a lilac bar. If you go down to the colour overlay, look, I've actually created it as lilac. Now that's another amazing thing. All of the effects that I added in Photoshop, they carry over into here. It's little things like that are amazing. But this is the thing, it's instantly here. Whereas in Photoshop, you had to go up here, you had to go into one of these and you had to load up a little thing and you had to sort of wait. There was, like I said, it's another thing like that. Photoshop had a lot of, it was almost like everything was compartmentalized. In other words, everything just took longer to do because you had to go into a separate menu to do stuff. Here, it's instant. It's instant, which is amazing. It's another one of those things how everything's just more snappy, which I think is really cool. What else have we got here? I'm going to open up this. I'll open up that, I think. What else I put in my notes? I put the way you move was and select. Oh yeah. Well, this is quite weird. Look at this. Look. It's a little bit weird. At first, this really got me. So look, here I've got a little image, which is the image of the dragon at the back there. Look. So if I want to move that, see, it's like you're moving the canvas. In Photoshop, I could just put the cursor on it and I could move it. In Affinity Photo, you have to actually click on that, and then you can move it. So it's a bit weird, but I like that actually, because it means you can't accidentally move stuff. But for me, that has actually been the biggest thing I've got to learn, is the fact that these two icons here, sort of, it's almost like a separate step. But like I said, I like it because you can't accidentally start moving things around if you're in there. So I like that. That's the main thing I've learned. That's the main thing that's stumped me at the moment. But I feel like I've sort of got my head around that. What else have we put? Oh, export colour changed. I don't think I got an example of this. But what happened was, when I was, especially with my lilac things. So when I went into let's have a look, see if I got, here look. Well, this is a pink one. So let's have a look at this, look. So this one is pink. If I exported that, if I had already exported this in Photoshop, if I exported it in here now, so if I export it here, it would actually come up as a slightly different colour. Doesn't really matter for thumbnails like this, but if you're using the same colour, which I am on some of my things, like if I'm doing something on my website, it might have my pink. So what happens now is, at first, every time I saved a file from a website, it was changing the colour of the pink, or the lilac, or the blue. So what I had to do was, I had to spend a couple hours messing about with the things. I actually can't remember what I did now, but it was in here, I think. Preferences, colour, was it? Yeah, what I did was, I went into Clip Studio Paint and I matched this one here with Japan colour, and then I've put colour match RGB. But what I do is, when I export it, I actually have to pick this one here, Adobe RGB 1998, and I put that there as well, embed thingamajigs. So what that means is, that one there is about 99% identical to the colours of Photoshop. So I've got to remember to do that every time I export my files. So I've already got into the habit of doing that now. But what I would like is, what happens is, once you've done it once, it keeps doing it until you close the file, which is cool. But it would be nice if it stayed like that all the time. But it keeps going back to that. So maybe what I need to do is actually go into, this is again, I'm still in the process of learning, to be honest, this software. I want to go into that. It's beautiful little menus here though, isn't it? Nice and sexy, I think. Maybe I need to do that there, look. Yeah, maybe if I do that. What's the difference between these two, I wonder? Oh, look. But, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save on that. Boing. So now, what should happen now is, if I close that, boing, it should... What one should I open? Let's do that one. It should now have it as... Yeah. Hopefully that's going to be... But that's one thing I had to do, was I had to... At first I thought, oh no, I bet I can't use this because it's going to mess all my colours up. But again, a little bit of time, I worked it out. So that's cool. What else have we put here? What the... Oh, what's this? Something about... Oh yeah, I want the... There's this thing on here, look. There's an Affinity Photo workbook. I really want this. What it is, one, it looks sexy. Look how sexy that looks. But the thing is, what it does is, it basically is... It's like a Bible for this software. I really want it. Look at the price of it though, 40 quid. I think it will be worth it, but I haven't got that money at the minute. But I really want to get that. So I'm keeping my eyes open for that on eBay. Trying to get it for if 20 quid I'd buy it. It'd be nice, I think, to just have that. Basically that's it though. The main thing I wanted to say on this video is, also I'm going to do something. I'm just going to go over to me Wacom a minute. Here we are, look, little Dennis is with us. Little Dennis. Hello, little Dennis. I just wanted to show you something. So I've set me Cintiq up, but I haven't actually even used it yet because I've been doing so much stuff in this house at the minute. But look, I've still got Photoshop on here. So what I thought was I'm going to see what happens if I click on it. Because I've cancelled my subscription. Look, that's the Creative Cloud icon. Look how sexy that is. I love that. But look how boring that one is. I feel like the Adobe Photoshop icon is quite boring, but I do love that one. This will take quite a while to load up, I think, but I'm curious what's going to happen if I try to use it, because what happened was here we go, something will happen here. This isn't connected to the internet as well. This computer isn't connected. Look. Da-da-da. We can't verify your subscription status. Oh, what a shame. Boing. So that's the end. Hey, look. See, what happened was when I cancelled my subscription, I could still use Photoshop on my Surface Pro, which was a bit weird. I didn't know what happened there, but I just deleted it anyway because I thought, well, I'm done with it now. But I thought to myself, well, I wonder if I can still use Photoshop on my thing without a subscription. I thought maybe you could still use it, but you couldn't save files or something. Hey, look, this is a new little puppet for the website, for the podcast. Derek the donkey. He's cool, isn't he? So that's it really for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. And, well, like I said, all I want to say really is give Affinity Photo give it a spin. See what happens. I think you're going to love it. I know I do. It's not only is it sexy, it's perfect. It's a bargain as well. Apple App of the Year, look. Boing.